Hey there, and welcome. Today, we're going to take a walk through one of the most desired and maybe most misunderstood human qualities out there, confidence. And I'm not talking about that loud, flashy kind. I mean the deep, authentic, lasting confidence that shapes not just your day, but your entire story.
So first things first, we've got to clear something up. We see people all the time who are loud, who brag, who seem totally full of themselves, and it's so easy to mistake that for confidence. But the sources we're diving into today make a really critical distinction. The big question is this: what is the actual difference between real confidence and just a fragile ego?
And here it is, plain and simple. Our source, Ed Mylett, he just puts it so bluntly. Ego is a mask. It's totally rooted in fear and insecurity, and it's always looking for validation from other people. You know that person who has to tell you how great they are? Yeah, that's ego. Real confidence, on the other hand, it's quiet. It comes from within, and it's built on a foundation of self-belief that you earn through action. It doesn't need to brag because it's too busy doing the work.
Okay, so if confidence is earned through work, that brings us to this kind of weird paradox, right? We all want the easy path, the quick fix to feel more confident. But that very search for comfort, it's often the single biggest thing holding us back. And this right here is the core principle from our source, Evan Carmichael. The power of this statement is just how simple it is. Confidence isn't something you find in a happy spot or in your comfort zone. No way. It's forged in the fire of the discomfort zone. It is the direct result of facing things that are scary, hard, or just plain difficult.
Now, to really bring this to life, Carmichael shares this powerful story. Imagine you're on your daily walk, right? But out of nowhere, an insane snowstorm hits. Your usual path is totally blocked by this long stretch of knee-deep snow. So you're standing there, and you've got a choice to make.
The easy choice, that little voice of comfort you, it says, just turn back, go the long way around, or you know what? Better yet, just go home. And hey, nobody would blame you. But here's the catch. Every single time you listen to that voice, you're training yourself. You're building an identity that says when things get hard, I give up. But then there's the other voice, the voice of growth you. And it says something totally different. It says, walk through. It's going to be hard, sure. You'll get cold and wet, but you'll get through it. And by choosing that difficult path, you're not just getting to the other side, you are fundamentally building a new identity. You are teaching yourself, brick by brick, that you are the type of person who does hard things. And that is the root of unshakable confidence. Now, this idea of walking through the snow, it isn't new. Not at all. It has these deep, ancient roots. So let's explore an ancient philosophy and the incredible story of a man who basically lived this principle to its absolute core. Just take a look at the life walk of Epictetus. I mean, this is unbelievable. He was born into the lowest possible status you could have, a slave. He faced unimaginable hardship, even had a physical disability. And yet, he gained his freedom, was later banished from Rome by the emperor himself, and still went on to become one of the most revered Stoic philosophers in history. He even influenced the great emperor Marcus Aurelius. What a journey. So, how in the world did he do it? Well, he did it through Stoicism. The core of this philosophy is such a powerful tool for building confidence. It teaches you to focus, radically, on what you can actually control. Your thoughts, your judgments, your actions. And to just calmly accept everything you can't. Suddenly, your confidence is no longer tied to what happens to you, but to the integrity of your own choices.
Okay, so we've grounded our confidence internally with a little bit of ancient philosophy. Now let's connect that inner strength to how we actually show up in the world. How do you project all that confidence you're building on the inside?
Well, our source Vanessa Van Edwards gives us 3 super simple, actionable steps. First up, own your space. Research shows we physically get bigger when we feel like a winner. So stand tall, keep your shoulders back, take up some room. Second, project your voice. Get this, experiments show people can literally hear your mood in your voice. So try speaking from a place of happiness. And third, walk with purpose. Your walk communicates your emotional state. So aim for a relaxed, happy, but purposeful stride. All right, so we've talked about confidence in the moment, and we've talked about it as a philosophy for life. But what if we zoom out? Way out. What if the confident actions you take today could actually echo beyond your own lifetime and shape your story forever? And this brings us to a really wild, kind of mind-bending philosophical question from the work Eudaimonia and Kleos. Is it possible for events that happen after you're gone to affect your well-being? I know, it sounds super strange, but let's look at a famous example.
This just illustrates the point perfectly. Look at Vincent van Gogh.
His life was a story of profound suffering. We're talking poverty, mental illness, complete and total professional failure. He died believing he was a nobody. But his legacy? It's the absolute opposite. It's a story of genius, inspiration, and cultural celebration. It just feels so intuitive to say that his fame after death adds something positive to his story, that his life is somehow better because of it.
You know, the ancient Greeks actually had a word for this, kleos. It basically means glory or renown. It was this idea that you could achieve a kind of immortality, not through some afterlife, but by being remembered for great deeds, by having a story so great that it outlives you.
So why does this legacy stuff even matter? Well, a theory called social perfectionism kind of explains it. It argues that since we are fundamentally social creatures, a big part of our well-being is tied to our social status, how others see us and relate to us. And here's the crucial part. That relationship doesn't just end when we die. The story people tell about us continues, and in a way, so does our social self.
All right, let's bring it all home. How do we take all these big ideas, the daily practice of doing hard things, the ancient wisdom of the Stoics, and this long-term view of our legacy, and integrate them into our own confident walk?
This really pulls it all together. You can see how it all lines up, right? The modern practice of walking through the snowstorm is really just the Stoic view of acting on what you can control. And the legacy of that choice? Your story gets defined by the challenges you are willing to face. Same thing with success. Doing the work instead of feeding your ego is really about valuing virtue, which ultimately builds a reputation based on actions, not just talk. It all connects. Your purpose today, your well-being, is directly tied to the legacy you are creating. So the final takeaway is really this. Every action, every choice you make to face discomfort, every single moment of self-discipline, it's not just for today. You are actively writing the story that will be told about you. Your life is writing your legacy. And so the only question left is, how will you walk?